Hi, how's everybody doing today? This is Kenya Rockman, author and founder of the Child Support Hustle and the Reform Child Support Now movement. I hope everybody is doing good today on this Thursday. I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Um, Thanks for joining. Uh, as the caption says, or the title says, there was an Ohio deputy sheriff who was acquitted um, this past week. Well, actually, it happened Friday last week, but the story just came out. He was acquitted after killing a man who had a warrant for child support. So I wanted to discuss this issue because um, it's about time that we stop or we force our legislators to stop the criminalization of parents because they can't afford this debt. So I'm gonna jump right into it with the details. Um, on July 26th, according to Cleveland.com, Ohio Sheriff's Deputy Jacob Baker, who's 30 years old at the time, fatally shot a man following a traffic stop. He was acquitted of voluntary manslaughter. The victim in the murder, I call a murder. Um, if you shoot somebody running in the back and they don't have a weapon, to me that's murder. Now we can go back and forth, but I'm not going to argue about it. That's murder to me. So the murder victim was 41-year-old Robert Sikon III, Sikon the third, and the murder occurred on November 2019. In November 2019. So before I discuss the specifics in his case, I want to go back and discuss a similar case that occurred in South Carolina on April 4th, 2015. Um, and that's the murder of Father, excuse me, Walter Scott. So people are probably familiar with Walter Scott's case. So, but if you're not, I'll just go over a few of the details. The facts in the case, and this is based on an article from reporters at the New York Times. Scott was a father of four and was stopped by former officer Michael Slager for an alleged broken taillight. Scott ran away and Slager chased him. Scott's family believed that he fled because he feared being arrested over unpaid child support. Slager fired his taser, but according to him, it didn't stop Scott. The two men struggled, and moments later, Slager radioed into his station and said, quoted, "Shots fired and the subject is down. He took my taser," end quote. Slager said that he was in, quote, total fear, end quote, because of the possibility that Scott may take and use the taser against him. Video of the shooting showed different. Slager raised his pistol and fired 8 shots at the back of Scott as he fled. Slager then dropped his taser next to Scott's lifeless body. Slager was fired and arrested. The city of North Charleston agreed to a $6.5 million settlement with Scott's family. After one mistrial in 2016, Slager was sentenced to 20 years in prison on December 16, 2017, after a judge viewed the killing as murder. So that's one case, Scott case. So we're going to fast forward to Carrollton, Ohio. Ohio is my home state. Child support. Everybody says, "Oh, my state is the worst in child support." I say every state is the worst in child support. Every state. I've never, and I've said this before, I've never talked to a parent or read any stories about anything positive about any state when it comes to child support. I have not, and I would like to. I mean, it's supposed to help the children. It's child support, but I haven't. I think they're all bad. So, Carrollton, Ohio, Father Robert Sikon III was shot and killed. Here are the facts according to Fox 8 at the time of the shooting. Thanks, guys, for joining. If you can, give me a thumbs up, like. Okay, I see people. in the chats. At first, my chats weren't turned on. Sorry about that. Hi, guys. Thanks for the likes. So, Mr. Sikon, on November 19, 2019, Sheriff Deputy Jacob Baker, who had been on paid leave since the murder, stopped 41-year-old Robert Sikon III for a traffic stop. Authorities have said that an arrest warrant had been issued in September 2019 for Sikon, who was accused of failing to pay child support. So this was a month. They didn't even wait till the ink dried. They issued the warrant in September. He was stopped in November and killed. According to Lori Steinbeck from CantonRep.com, Sikon's fiance said that Sikon was, quote, pulled from her vehicle, shoved against the side of it, and after a tussle with the deputy, vanished behind a nearby building. She said that she could then see the deputy, but not Sikon, when several shots rang out, end quote. According to his children, they have this fatherless, they put this narrative up, a fatherless generation, all these men abandoning, fathers abandoning their children, but yet they see fit to jail them and kill them, break them down to where they commit suicide so these children don't have fathers. So according to his children, their father was, quote, a runner, saying that he would have run from law enforcement rather than be confronted by officers. And last I checked, running is not a death penalty offense. Let me get my water. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And then talking about the running, a lot of people say, well, he should have stayed. Walter Scott, they should have stayed and not ran. But with the debtor prisons and how these are operated, if they go to jail, when they go to jail, because if they have a warrant, they're going to jail. If they don't have the money to pay the debt that they're being pursued for, they're being hunted for, and they know once they get arrested and are behind bars, there's no telling how long they're going to be there. So if they have a job, if they have a apartment or a house that they have to pay bills on, if they get arrested and they're gone for who knows how long because they know they can't pay, I would flee too, because that's your livelihood. It's not just that you're going to jail. It's that everything that you have going on is going to be affected by you being arrested over this debt. So in that moment, a lot of people would flee. It's not violent to run. Now you're breaking the law. Then you're breaking the law, but owing a debt is not breaking the law, in my opinion. But I mean, that we can go back and forth about that. So Baker was charged and pled not guilty in August of 2020 of voluntary manslaughter, which the CantonRep.com says is a first-degree felony, and it carried up to 11 years in prison if he was convicted. Baker's attorney claimed that Sikon grabbed at the deputy's duty belt, and DNA was found on a holster attached to the belt, which if they tussled, Sikon had no weapon, and as I was said, he was shot 4 times in the back that day for running away, according to prosecutors. On July 23rd, 2021, an Ohio jury cleared Baker of all charges related to the murder of Sikon. Both of these cases have a couple of commonalities that I want to speak about. One is that they were both being hunted by law enforcement because of a more than likely bogus child support warrant. And secondly, both men would have more than likely been alive today if it had not been for the issuance of these bogus warrants. In either case, there wasn't any information that showed or insinuated that either father was a particularly wealthy man. So that would lead me to believe that they would fall in the category of the majority of the fathers who owe the most child support debt in America. First, we have to know some important stats about who owes the most debt in the United States. Now, this is according to Joey Arthur, and he's a blogger at the Office of Child Support Enforcement in DC. 60% of child support debtors with more than $100,000 in arrears had no reported income. And this is according to the National Directory of New Hires. The National Directory of New Hires, or the NDNH, is a national database of wage and employment information that helps child support agencies locate parents, they track you down, establish paternity, and collect child support. 16% of these parents had income between $10,000 and $20,000, meaning that their debt is at least 5 times greater than their annual income. 15% had income between $20,000 and $100,000, and 1% of these debtors had income over $100,000. So in that, you have to understand that some of these parents may be self-employed or being paid under the table, but we have to remember 75% of all child support collections come from wage garnishments. So this is pretty accurate, showing how much these parents are making that owe the most debt. So it only makes sense that the poorest parents owe the most debt. They can't afford it. And this also means that they have not broken any law, because technically, and by what the guidelines say, a parent has to willfully fail to pay child support, meaning they have the means to pay and refuse to do so. So if these parents, if these two victims were not like hoarding money and sending it overseas and living lavishly while their kids were suffering and living in squalor, they have not broken the law. They are not living in they are not violating the court order. So there shouldn't even have been a warrant issued. If you don't have the money to pay, you cannot willfully break the law. And it's not a thin line. It's not, oh, well, they should have did this or they should have done. No, if you don't have the money to pay, then you have not broken a law. It's really that simple. But they'll sit out there and issue all these warrants because they can, and nobody stops them. And it's gotten so dangerous now, parents are dying, whether it be by an overzealous police officer or by suicide or just dying from a broken heart. This is a serious system that, destroys. They criminalize parents for being low income or poor. It is not a crime to be poor. And we have got to keep pushing that narrative because it's a fact. It is not illegal to be poor. It's not illegal to simply not be able to afford the insurmountable amount of debt allegedly owed because they have charged retroactive child support and they have zero opportunities for relief. They have the debt relief or debt compromise programs, which are damn near impossible to qualify for, to meet the qualifications. The criteria is, if that was all it took, most parents would just do it. So they set this program up for parents to fail out the gate. They said parents are set up to fail and owe lifetime debt to the government. It's not even owed to the other parent in most cases, because the debt that's owed to the other parent in most cases, that parent can usually pay something. They're usually not low income cases. They're usually not welfare or Title 4D cases. So thanks to the Bradley Amendment, and you guys know I talk extensively about that, and we need to repeal the Bradley Amendment. Call your legislators, repeal the Bradley Amendment. If you need more information about the Bradley Amendment, I've done a video about it. I've written about it. So go to the childsupporthustle.com, or you can look in the videos here and find out more information. It's all there. We need to repeal the Bradley Amendment. In the next election, when people are asking for your vote, we need to make sure some of this stuff is on the ballot. They need to run on some of these things that we are asking for, and we've been asking for years. So Some of the information I'm using in this video, I'm going to be using from a document written by Courtney E. Lollards, Lollards. It was published by the University of Alabama School of Law. And what the work is titled is Criminalizing Poor Fathers. And it's a good source of information. And I want to say reiterates things that I have been saying and other people have been saying about the use of debtor prisons and criminalizing poor fathers and creating this deadbeat dad narrative that they have been pushing for decades now. That really is a false narrative and allows the government and other parents to prey on non-custodial parents, mostly fathers, who can't afford to the extortion that comes along with this system. So I read it. It's really a good read, full of information, lots of sources. So it's in the links. It's in the link. And I thought it was very more important too because it's from the University of Alabama. And if you follow our Facebook page or my social media page, I did a video about Alabama and them doing, those criminal roundups where they go with the warrants and go and lock people up and all that BS, which I think is illegal. You guys know. And my co-host on the Child Support Hustle radio show, Marcus Eccles, he was actually interviewed, kind of saying our side of the situation when they do those roundups. So I put that link in the description as well. And he was interviewed on News 19 down there in Alabama, or up there in Alabama. So again, I want everybody to keep in mind when you watch this, and if you're having a discussion, debtor prisons were outlawed in 1833. So no matter how they package it, if they say it's failure to appear, if it's contempt of court, however they package, when you lock a parent up because they owe a debt and they cannot get out unless they buy their freedom, i.e. pay that purge amount, pay that child support debt, that is a debtor prison. Make no mistake, they can call it whatever they want, but that is what it is. And that's a fact. And those were allegedly outlawed. So here are some serious problems with the child support system and how it leads up to the criminalization of parents, mostly fathers. And this again is according to this study, this report by Lollards. Because the system is so strict, non-custodial parents are often unable to comply with the court-ordered child support obligations. And we know there's no wiggle room. If you can't pay, you're punished. That's it. And they put out there this false, I'm going to keep using false narrative because that's just the best way to describe it. Because when you're in this system, they'll tell you, you can do this, you have this protection, you have that protection to appease the public. But really, when you're a parent going through this system, that's false. There are no protections. You get treated like shit. When you call down there and try to get some help, that caseworker really treats you like you are less than. Like you are a second-class citizen. And that's wrong. So there are no protections. So it's often you're often unable to comply, and then you don't get any help when you try to comply. So society has labeled these fathers as lazy, loathsome, I think that's right, idle by choice, and evasive. Or you go with that evasion. We had to pull him over. He ran. He was evading child support. He don't want to take care of his kids, so therefore he was shot. That's not true. Just because these fathers, Walter Scott and Robert Sikon, just because they had a child support order and owed child support debt does not mean that they did not pay for their children, does not mean that they were absent, does not mean that they were evasive. This means that they issued a child support warrant because they did not pay through the system for whatever reason, that they were on court-ordered child support, which more than likely, since we know there was no evidence that they were wealthy, they probably had, their custodial parents probably opened up welfare cases and then they were sued through the Title 4D program to recover welfare costs. So loathsome, idle by choice, lazy. If anybody, I mean, if anybody could be lazy in this relationship, if you will, you could also say that the custodial parent who's receiving the welfare benefits, who's receiving the child support benefits, who's receiving the subsidized housing, who's receiving the tax cuts, who's receiving the tax refunds, all these benefits that come, who's receiving all of this, but not necessarily having to work, to receive those benefits, they might be considered lazy, idle by choice. So, like I said, that's just simply not true. But if you label somebody something deadbeat and all this kind of stuff, then they kind of feel like they can justify treating parents as second-class citizens, and in some cases, killing them. Not being able to afford court-ordered child support payments does not mean that the father or the parent is not providing. It does mean that the payments are too high for them to afford. That's more than likely the case, and that has been proven over and over again. I know from speaking to parents over the years that their child support orders are not based on actual income, but on imputed income, or income that an officiant felt that they should be making. Just because they think you're supposed to make that amount of money does not mean that's the amount of money that that you are making. That's just not reality. There's so many other factors that come into play and must be considered, and that they passed the regulations that now they have to consider so many other things. And I also wrote about that. It's in the Federal Register, and I put a link about that on there too. I'm sorry, guys, I'm not looking at the comments. I will at the end of the video and respond to you guys. So, because I'll get over there and I'll get off track over here. If you've been on here before, you know, I'll be all over the place. And I just want to, this is such an important, everything I talk about, I feel is important in getting the message out. But when parents are dying, getting murdered because of child support warrants, like this is for our society, this is disturbing. This is a problem. This is a problem. This is a child support, and child support debt is not even a crime. So as of 2016, child support agencies are not supposed to impute income without specific information considered, yet they still use this method. And there's no accountability. So nobody's going in. They're supposed to go in and say, oh, you can't use this. They can't afford that. Nobody says anything, because it's all about profits for them. It's not about children and whether they're taken care of and whether the parent can afford to take care of themselves. It's about profits, the performance measures, getting that money, that profit on that dollar that's spent. This means that those warrants can be issued. Oh, I'm sorry. And if the parent files for a modification, the process is lengthy. The application can be denied, and most times it is, and the parent is still on the hook for all the debt that has accrued since they applied for the modification. I just wrote an article. One parent said he had waited 2 years. Another parent, just this time. And then they not only denied the application for modification, they increased the child support. This means that the warrants can be issued and they may face incarceration because they can't pay, they can't afford it, just like Mr. Sikon and Mr. Scott. And it happens more times than anybody wants to admit. But now that people are getting aware, thanks to social media, people sharing, people talking, now people are realizing this is a serious problem and it needs to be addressed. Even if the parent is ordered to pay child support through the state, they must still be left enough money to provide for their basic needs. There's so many people that think a parent should be, if they are left homeless and sleeping on the street, as long as they pay their child support, it's so what? I saw this video, and I'm gonna do something about this. It was attorney in Michigan, she said, and I was really surprised because the language the lawyer used. I mean, we all swear, but and she's saying, if I can't see my kids, like a parent going to court, if I can't see my kids, why I got to pay child support? And she says they still got to eat, they still have to, they still breathe, and they still have to eat. One, okay, but if that parent can't see their children, they're going to question that, for one. But two, if that parent can't afford the child support, if that's the attitude that these lawyers are going into court with, if they even ask a question, you understand what I'm saying, about their child support being too high or them not being able to afford to pay, they're going to be, if that's the response they're getting from the lawyers and the people working for the court, they're saying they still have to eat, they still have to breathe, they still have to, you know, so there's no regard to what the non-custodial parents' needs are. And they are not supposed to do that. And this is based on the federal government's regulations. They are supposed, well, I'll get into that. Hold on. See, I get ahead of myself. You guys know. Thanks. If y'all here, click the like button. Click the like button. And if you aren't already subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you. So you're supposed to leave them enough money to provide for your basic needs. This is regulation because research has found that setting an accurate order based on the non-custodial parent's ability to pay improves the chances that the parent will comply with the court order. I wrote in my notes, no shit. If the parent can pay, they're more likely to pay. If you can't afford to pay, you're not going to pay. How difficult is that? Why, unless you're trying to put people in debt, would you make a court order that a parent cannot pay? You want them in debt. This system makes me so upset. The federal government issued these guidelines in the final rule. Again, this is in the description. The federal child support guidelines statute requires that the state have guidelines that result in appropriate child support awards. It is based on the fundamental principle that each child support order should take into consideration the non-custodial parent's ability to pay. If your child support right now is too high, I hate to say it, but file a modification, file a complaint, file something against them, especially if you filed a modification and they denied you and ignored you and they set it higher, then file a complaint against them. You're supposed to be able to eat. You're supposed to be able to put a roof over your head. You're supposed to be able to survive. Paragraph C1 of this final rule says, it provides that the child support order is based on the non-custodial parent's earnings, income, and other evidence of ability to pay. Paragraph C1(3) requires consideration of the specific circumstances of the non-custodial parent when they are imputing income. And there's a whole list. I did a video. We did a town hall down in Alabama a couple years ago, and I talked specifically about this. So there's a whole list of items or criteria that the person setting the order is supposed to consider before they can impute an income. So if you go, it's going to say the video has Town Hall, Alabama. And if you go and watch that video, I break all this down in detail. So if you go and watch that and you say, wait a minute, they didn't look at this, A, B, C, D, file a complaint. I'm a complaint filer when I feel like my rights aren't being violated or the rules aren't being applied and things like that. I'm gonna go over your head. I'm gonna talk to somebody else that can help me and do their job. If you're not doing the job, then I have to talk to somebody else and get it straightened out. And I advise you to do the same, especially when it comes to this, because this system will mess with your money, your freedom, your relationship with your children, your livelihood, everything that has to do with living. So if you feel like your rights are being violated, do not stay quiet. Your voice is important. So paragraph C1(2) requires the child support guidelines must take into consideration the basic subsistence needs of the non-custodial parent who has limited ability to pay, incorporating a low income adjustment, such as a self-support reserve or some other method determined by the state. A low income adjustment is the amount of money a parent owing child support needs to support themselves at a minimum level. If they're taking 65, 70% of your income from wage garnishments, even if they're allowed to take it per the garnishment rules, if they're only leaving you $100, $200 a pay, so and your rent is $500, that's not leaving you with the minimum level that you need to survive. It's contradictory. This is intended to ensure that the low-income parent can meet his or her basic needs as well as permit continued employment. If you don't have money, a lot of times you can't work. If you don't have money to even get to work, if you don't have money to house yourself, if you don't have money for transportation, if you don't have this money, and if you can't pay your support, what? You lose your license. So you can't get to work. So all this is what they're supposed to be doing. But they don't do this. Then they violate everything. And then they issue a warrant. And then you get pulled over for a traffic stop. And then you get police like the ones in South Carolina and Ohio that feel like they have the right to shoot a running man in the back over a warrant, over a child support warrant. That's not even a real crime. Oh, shoot. Sorry about that. So I have on here, I can go on and on, but you all see my point. Short of Mr. Sikon and Mr. Scott being extremely well-off individuals, and we have seen no indication that even after their murders that they were well off. Well, now Mr. Scott's family is well off because they had to sue for his murder. They got millions from the state, from the city, I mean, which probably came from the state. The reality is that they were probably deeply indebted to the government for child support arrears that they couldn't afford to pay. Excuse me. There's no debt forgiveness opportunities available, even if the debt is owed completely to the government to recover welfare costs, and they had no choice but to run or be placed in a debtor prison until they were able to buy their freedom. That sounds very, very eerily similar to like some slave shit. Actually, at the time of the murder, Walter Scott, it was shown that Walter Scott owed approximately $18,000 in child support. But if you think about it, $18,000, why wouldn't he pay that off? If he could get the laws off his back and just be done with it. I'm gonna pay this. I don't want them harassing me anymore. They keep pulling me over. Why wouldn't he pay it if he had that money? 9 times out of 10, he didn't have it. And he was a soldier too. He's a veteran. Not to say veterans should be treated any different than civilians or people who haven't served, but there's like things on the internet, things on the internet that say, a soldier can go and fight for this country and come back over here and he's in more danger or she's in more danger here than when she was over there fighting for this country. So I think he was in the Navy, a Navy vet. So he goes over, serves the country and comes back and gets shot in the back over child support. But if you can't afford it, you can't live free in America if you owe child support debt. You're not free in America if you owe child support debt. And if you owe arrears and you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. And that is criminalizing parents. And it is causing the deaths of parents more than the media, more than the politicians, and even more than the public wants to admit. Everybody wants to bury their head in the sand, turn a blind eye to this. This is a pandemic and has been a pandemic for a very long time, before COVID hit. And funny that they want to erase student loan debt because of the pandemic, but they have a problem or don't seem to see that child support debt is negatively affecting parents and families greatly as well. People are dying, being murdered. We cannot continue to let the people that ask for our votes, that ask for our support, to ignore this dire situation. We just cannot. We can't afford it. Our children are getting older, and this is the system they're going to inherit if we don't do anything right now. So, if not for these warrants over fake debt, y'all know that debt is fake. Y'all know it's fake. There would have been no reason for the hunt. If not for the hunt of those officers, there would not have been a reason for the traffic stop. If it had not been for the stop, there'd been no tussle. Had it not been for the tussle, there'd been no need for them to run. If not for the need to run, there'd been no need for the peace officer hired to protect and serve to feel the need to discharge multiple gunshots into the backs of these fathers. If it hadn't been for those fired gunshots, these children who had child support system supposed to be looking out for, they're supposed to be looking for their best interest. It's child support after all. Would have their fathers here today, or at least not have them removed, deleted from their lives over a system called child support. The hypocrisy is real in this one. They claim that these fathers abandon their children, desert their children, but then they kill them in the same breath, hunt them, arrest them, call them despicable names, deadbeat. In Kentucky, they'll put, I don't know if they still do it. I know some years ago they were putting parents that owe child support, their faces on pizza boxes. You know, kids eat pizza. Kids love pizza. Imagine being at a slumber party with your friends, or a sleepover or a birthday party, and they deliver the pizza and your parents' picture is plastered all over there for being a deadbeat. How is that beneficial to children? That was in Kentucky. Ooh, Kentucky. Oh my gosh. Like I said, there's no good ones. Every state is horrible when it comes to child support. Even though this sheriff was acquitted, he should be ashamed for making Mr. Sikon's children fatherless. He should be ashamed of himself for feeling on that day that warrant for owing a debt was that important that it was worth taking father from his children. We need to stop criminalizing low-income and poor parents. Stop using debtor prisons as punishment. They don't work. They didn't work then, and they don't work now. And we knew that back in 1833. We talk about the forefathers and everything like that. Well, apparently, somebody back in the 1800s, they said that those don't work. So I don't care how they reinvent them, how they disguise them, and all that stuff. They don't work. We need to cancel all government-owed child support debt, so that we don't have other victims that have warrants out because they owe a child support debt. I tried to look up to see how many people had warrants in this Carrollton, Ohio, but the closest I had, that's what I tried to look at, was in Butler County. Let me see if I can open this. I'm trying to figure out this double screen thing, guys. I'm gonna get it. My son sent me some links. So, was it Butler County? It's some county in Ohio. Let me tell you how many warrants they had on their website. 902. There was over 400 that had been issued after COVID. 400 arrest warrants after COVID. There was 902 warrants out for parents. I think it was Butler. That's ridiculous. And 400 after COVID. I thought they weren't. I thought they were releasing people after COVID, during COVID. So because the jails, people were getting sick. But see, again, no accountability. They do what they want to do. That's. I hope y'all outraged like I am. So if you want to sign our petition, and I do send this petition to the Biden administration. I try to send it like once a week. I think we're up to, let me see, 18. No, it might not be that much. Not quite 2,000. I want to see if we can set a goal and get 2,000 signatures on there. So I don't know if I added it to this description, but if I didn't, I'm gonna go back and add it. But you can also get it on the childsupporthustle.com. There's a petition to erase all child support, government owed child support debt. So let's try to get 2,000 signatures. When I first started, I was so like excited about it. I was asking for 100,000 signatures in like a month or something. That did not happen. But we do, my parents are signing. So if you get a chance, please go sign it. Please share it. It's like I said, we're almost at like 2,000. That's the goal. So if you can sign that, share it. Oh, if you're interested in getting my book, I did my thumbnail with the back, everything they don't want you to know about the corrupt child support system right here. So if you want to get my book, it's the Child Support Hustle. This is also available on my website. You can get a t-shirt, show your support, show them that you are aware of the hustle and what they are doing. It's not child support, it's state support, it's government support, everything for a profit, just for them. These kids do not matter, and we know it's time for them to stop perpetrating the fraud. I have a new pink on, a pink t-shirt. If you like it, let me know. I'll get more in. If you want to order one, I will try to make that happen. Let me see. Oh, tune in on Saturday. We're going to be doing our first Child Support Hustle radio show in a minute. We haven't done one. It's been a while. So we have author Marianne Petrie. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. And she's went through the child support system. She's been in debtor prison. She's been alienated from her children and just dragged through this whole nightmare that is family court. So we're going to be talking to her and just hearing about her nightmare. And if you would like to be a guest on our show, you can contact us on with the contact form on my website. Again, that's the childsupporthustle.com, or you can send my email, cshustle1@gmail.com. Okay, I'm gonna hit. I want to thank everybody for joining me and sticking with me. I know there's a lot, man. This YouTube stuff is crazy. I'm like, just, I mean, I watch YouTube, I'm watch my Agatha Christie when they used to have it on there, or my Antiques Roadshow, but I don't know if I can, it's fair use or whatever you're supposed to say, so they won't take my video down. But that's a lot of stuff on here. So I thank y'all for even rocking with me, because it's like a cable show. I know there's a lot of shows you can watch, but thanks for choosing us. I don't know what I was on, but thanks for choosing us. Let me see. I wish. Oh God, no, Neil. No, you don't want that to be you. You are not alone. I'm sorry I didn't see your comment earlier. You're not alone. I'm glad to see you too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're going through this. I remember talking to you. Did you ever file a complaint with the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement? If not, if you did, what was the result? Can you send me an email? cshustle1@gmail.com. But no, you don't wish that was you. You don't deserve that. Nobody does. You have rights and you are important. You matter. I'm glad, Ben. File that complaint. File that lawsuit. Ohio is don't even get me started. I know um when I went to go, well, my daughter's father and I went to when I went to go try to close the case when they lied the first time. I said this, I told the story because we went down to the child support office and I'm like, I want this closed out. And at that time, I think the arrears were 30 something thousand. And they had gave me false information in the first place. So we're sitting in the office and different people are coming in. Are you sure you want to do this? Is he coercing you? Like I was being threatened to do it. And I'm like, no. Um, I'm a big girl. I know how to do stuff, but they fought me. But it's funny because after that, we were laughing, joking and stuff like that. Like, damn, they don't want you to disclose this at all. I was like, I see. But, just they took my rights away as well as his rights. So, and my daughter's rights as far as that's concerned. So my point was, if this is supposed to be in our child's best interest and the interest of the family, if I'm not even here anymore, like I had to fly back to Ohio a few times. But the fact that they came in and was trying to persuade me not and try to convince, now picture if I was not as who I am. I'm just gonna put that. And I was like, oh well, maybe I shouldn't. And oh, maybe we'll still be going through this to this day. There's no telling what he'd be going through. He's probably still, I'm sure, in and out of jail. I think it's all families. Quincy, like I'm on record of saying since I started this, they care about green money, and there's low income families in every demographic. So they just want the custodial parent to sign up so they can go sue the other parent, so they can put them on retroactive child support, so they can start off in debt from day one. So they'll always be in debt if they should so happen hit a lick and they hit the numbers or fall into some money, so they can take it. It's a hustle. Like the child support hustle is real. This shit is no joke, and people are dying. I agree, Rocco. No, it's not. Computed income, imputed income, none of that. They have to go by what you actually earn. I went through this is off of the federal government's guidelines. This isn't off of stuff. Oh, I think they should, or it's my opinion that I don't do opinions when it comes to this. Now I'm gonna say on a side note, I feel like this or that. But when I talk about anything, I'm gonna give y'all a source, a reference. I'm gonna give you guys something so y'all can have where it's coming from. I'm not just going to be talking just to be talking about something this serious. No. Yeah, they hide a lot of this stuff. A lot of stuff is not in the light. Even as long as I've been advocating, there's still stuff that I hear and I'm still like, what? They did what? And then keep in mind, they keep asking for our vote. The legislators, a lot of the stuff the legislators need to change. Like they need to just do away with any kind of warrants issued for anybody's arrest. The whole contempt of court, debtor prison thing needs to be abolished. Now they'll say, oh, we call it failure to appear. But once that person is in jail, if they can't purchase their freedom, that's debtor prison. And now I didn't say it. There's a lot of organizations, a lot of people know what's going on, but they, like I said, they bury their head in the sand because they don't want to piss off their female constituents. Too bad. Oh, thank you, Memphis. Memphis Pat. Don't ever keep fighting. You know that's right. Don't ever. I don't care if it's this fight. I don't care if whatever fight. If you are passionate about it, and you know your rights are being violated, I'm talking about fight till there's no breath left in you. Just do it. Some things are worth it. This is something that is worth it. They say what confront I like confrontation. I heard that, and oh, and I don't do good with authority or some shit. I was like, okay. I think they'd be infuriated too. This is a mess. It's a whole mess. But the real tragedy, on top of parents dying and having all their rights stripped over a debt, is that nobody, these people that are supposed to be in charge, they're getting big bucks. They're supposed to be our representatives, are doing nothing. They're doing nothing. That should bother. I don't care if you don't support child support reform. That should bother everybody. That should bother everybody. Like, it's the damnedest thing. Oh, I've been cussing a lot today. Sorry, but I don't make these videos for children. I make sure I click that button because I can start cussing in a heartbeat. So I hope this video was informative. I tried to put some links out there so that you guys can do your research if you wanted to go and look. I wanted to pay respect to the deceased fathers, the murdered fathers, Walter Scott and Robert Sikon III, and offer my condolences to their children and their families. These tragedies, these arrests for these fake debts, tragedies like this need not happen if we had legislators fighting to end the criminalization of low income and poor parents. It's not a crime to be poor. And it's time that we stop this. So don't forget to sign the petition. Don't forget to tune into our radio program. Don't forget to turn your notifications on. So when I come on live, I'm early today. I'm trying to just see, like, when I come on, like, when people tune in the most, when's the best time to catch people, things like that. That's why I came on early today, and people joined. At first it was like the low number, but I got about the same number eventually that I do when I come on in the evening. So I see some people rock with me. That makes me feel good. And I feel like the message is getting out and awareness is being raised. So I feel like work that's worthwhile. So if that's all in the comments, thank you guys for commenting. Thanks for liking. I'm gonna thank you in advance for sharing. I'm gonna thank you in advance for getting a book. If you get a t-shirt, I'm gonna thank you in advance. Somebody sent me an email and asked how to donate. You can cash at me if you want to. It's $T. Wait, I always gotta write it down because I don't say it a lot. Hold on. Okay, it's $TCSH, the Child Support Hustle, and the number 1. And I will thank you in advance if you donate anything. We're going to be in Detroit, Michigan. I know I love Detroit. Next month. I'm not sure of the exact day. I will let you guys know. I think we're just going to do like a small town hall. So if you want to come out, please join us. I'm gonna be out there with Carnell Alexander, the paternity fraud victim. And tune in Wednesday. Where's my notebook? I'm gonna make an official post about this, but I'm going to be on here with attorney Cassandra Daniels. I've been talking about it for a minute, but this is going to be on Thursday, August 5th at 4 p.m. And we're going to be discussing, some work that we're doing together. I don't know if I can figure out how to answer questions. I'll try to do that if you have any questions, but that'll be, you know, just something. But that's Thursday the 5th at 4 o'clock. Okay. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you all so much. And if you need to get in touch with me, again, I'm not working on individual cases at this time, but if you send me an email and give me like a little background, I'll try to give you the information that I can, if I can. And you can send me an email at cshustle1@gmail.com. And you can go to my social media sites. I put it in the description, and go and support and like and all that good stuff. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Remember, they can ignore hundreds, they can ignore thousands, but they cannot ignore millions. Let's go.